Hello, hello. Welcome for another episode of the Author Spotlight. Hey, it's your man, Darren M. Palm, the host with the most. So excited to be able to go behind the scenes with best-selling authors. We have a treat today. We have Miss ShaneilYarbrough on the episode today. And before I have her come on and be able to share in her own way, I just want to share a little bit about Miss Yarbrough. She is a woman from Arkansas, for those who ain't familiar with it, from Russellville. She grew up, and what is that, Miss Yarbrough? What's the name of the city?
I grew up in Calion.
Calion, and due to her
Calion.
Calion. Okay, due to her willingness to proclaim God's word and share her testimony, PJ, what her family and friends call her, frequents as a keynote speaker for women and youth ministry, as well as early childhood education conferences. Now, I shared a little bit about your bio. Now, I don't want to get all into it because I want them to hear it from the source. But the people I just want to say, welcome to the show, Ms. Yarbrough. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Okay. I thank you so much. Now, I got to ask you, so people don't throw tomatoes at me. Born a Statistic, the book, Living, Rejected, Agreeing with God. Why this book as your first book, Ms. Yarbrough?
Wow, that's a great question. I do believe there are other books to follow, but I have pretty much 5 different reasons why I feel like I wrote this book. Number 1 would be that I feel like it was truly an assignment from God. Secondly, I wanted the opportunity to tell my personal testimony. Thirdly, I would say that I wanted to continue and complete my personal healing process. I believe that the next thing would be to help others to see that they have the potential to excel no matter what they've been through. And certainly, last but not least, to give God the glory for everything that He has done, He is doing, and will do in my life.
You know what? When I think about, I love your perspective of knowing where your source is, knowing where you grounded in the faith, and that's something that the people get a good understanding when they read this book. How much God has played a role in your life. Now, if God hadn't played a role in your life, we're not talking to you. I mean, you have to figure that out on your own. But I love that you are so secure in the faith and knowing who to give honor and glory to. Because of what God has done for your life. And when I think about that, I have to ask you this. It's one thing to have in mind that I want to do a book, but what made you believe that you could write a book when so many have failed at the task?
Interestingly enough, you are so right. I actually felt like for a long time that I was failing at the task. I started this process many years ago, probably somewhere around the year of 2007. And so I had to really buckle down. And I'll be honest and say that most of my motivation came from seeing others that I know personally achieve that goal. There are so many people out there now who I know and don't know that are publishing books. And I thought about it, and finally I'll say that probably 4 different authors that I know on a personal level did this, and I said it's time. And probably the last thing that really pushed me would be the encouragement I continued to receive from family, friends, and I'll even say one of your personal consultants reaching out to me and saying, have you ever thought about writing a book? It came at a season where not only was I thinking about it, but I knew it was time to do it.
I love that. I love that, Shaneil. And just thinking about that, for those who are listening in, where you're able to go behind the scenes with best-selling authors, what Miss Shaneil just shared with us is the importance of your circle, of your network that you have around you. So guess what? It's seeing is believing sometimes. So if you got people around you and they're high achievers, they're getting it done, and you start realizing, it's one thing if I'm looking at Oprah Winfrey and I can start saying, I can come up with excuses and, well, I don't know, that is Oprah. I can start coming up, everybody ain't Oprah. I can start saying that. But when you start with colleagues and people that you're in the ministry with, or someone that you see at the grocery store sometimes, and you see that they got a book out, then you really have to question yourself and look at yourself really, as the great Michael Jackson once said, look at the man or the woman in the mirror and start identifying like, wait a minute here, you know, I can do this too. So that's what I'm saying. The importance, like, you know, if it's somebody who's dealing with alcoholism, alcoholic, you know, if you got all friends who drinking, then it's probably a great chance that you're not going to be able to break that habit of being an alcoholic, you know, unless you know, get the right people and surround yourself in faith and get the Lord to help you out with that situation. But having Miss Shaneil share with us the importance of seeing others and also having encouragement from those who are around her definitely was a catalyst to help her get hers done. So for those of you who are listening and want to get your book done, please take note to what Miss Shaneil did. Now, Miss Shaneil, I know you have a lot on your plate. Now, I didn't even go into everything that you have going on. Now, I just shared a little bit. I'm going to let the people hear a little bit of it from you, but I know that you are a Proverbs 31 woman to your Boaz over there, to old pastor over there, you know, and I mean, you do so much. You're a wonderful mother. You're a businesswoman as well. You minister. I mean, could you just share with the people some of the things, some of the titles that you hold, if you could?
Well, first I'll say thank you for the compliment. To be called a Proverbs 31 woman is certainly a compliment. You have already said a few of them, but I'll try to give a short list. First and foremost, I am a wife and a mother, and those are my most important roles. Because of those roles, I have the pleasure to walk beside my husband as he pastors in our local community at the Changing Lives Ministries Church. In addition to that, I am very involved in the community. I, for example, serve on the El Dorado School District Board of Directors. I also am very largely involved with a lot of early education initiatives across the state. I actually love more than anything to do conference presentations and keynote presentations at those early childhood conferences that are across the state. In addition to that, I work in the foster care community with the Agape House Children's Home currently, and just doing all I can as the administrator of that great entity to make sure that children that are in the foster care system are receiving what they need. And I, last but not least, just to kind of end the list, I do a lot of volunteerism in different capacities, and probably one of the most favorite things is mentoring other women, mostly young women, in whatever season they are in their lives to help them along their journey.
Amen. Hey, I had to give an amen moment on that. I mean, you know, that's part of this. And some of you might say, well, Darren, why did you have her share that? Because really, to be successful in this book process, you have to be selfless instead of selfish. So you have to really get it done. You have to have a big enough why. You have to know that somebody else is going to benefit from your book besides just you. You went through it, but what can others glean or gather from your story or from your experience that can help them navigate through their life and overcome the obstacles that they may encounter? So when I hear Miss Shaneil sharing that, it's definitely a side note that I want to put out for those who are listening. You have to be selfless. It can't just be about me. Don't get me wrong, I want self-love. I believe it's self-love too, but you can't get caught up in, I see some people, because there's some individuals out there right now, they're saying that, Shaneil done wrote a book, so let me go jump and try to do the book. But what is your motive behind doing the book?
Right.
I'm not saying that everybody don't have a story, but you got to be careful, because I've watched people, because they've seen somebody else do it, they'll piggyback real quick and jump out there saying they're ready to do a book. But if you don't have a big enough why, and if you're not selfless, then you end up quitting quickly. You know, when it comes to investing, when it comes to investing in monetary means, when it comes to timing, when your schedule get busy, then all of a sudden the book is going to go to the wayside. So it's similar like those who were called, some just went and then some were sent. It's kind of that mentality. And when you are writing your book, when you're creating something that you birthing that's going to give life to others in this world, you have to come in with the right spirit. Would you agree with that, Ms. Shaneil?
I could not agree any more. Wholeheartedly on the same page with you. As a matter of fact, while I've been in this process of writing the book and going through the process of investing financially, but more importantly with my time. I already explained how much I'm doing and how many places that I am so spread thin. There was a definite reason behind me sitting down to do this, because I knew that in the end, there would be so many people that could benefit from it. It was never about me. It still is not about me. As I forestated, I want God to get the glory and for other people to know that they have the same potential within them to do this.
And that's great. And that's the perfect segue, because I know they think like, well, I'm struggling over here and I don't even have remotely the titles and things that responsibilities that she has. So could you please give us some hacks? How do you do it? How do you create content with everything that's on your plate? Is it getting up early in the morning? Is it in the evening? Is it recording? To share anything that worked for you during this process.
During this process, the best thing for me, because I am such an early person, I am an early bird, and I do believe that the early bird gets the worm. So before my house was awake, as I like to say, I would get up some mornings as early as 4 a.m. and I would make me a pot of coffee and I would work for an hour or two. And then by the time my family is needing to get up and start their regular day, I would put my computer away. However, there were also many evenings when I was very, very tired that I knew I was at a certain point in the content that I was creating that I needed to get to another level. So I would sit down sometimes in the evenings, even though that was not my favorite time. And you know that it's very rare for me to have spare time. So anytime I found spare time, it was used to write the book. I actually was asked a couple of weeks ago, being that this person knew I am very busy, they said, did you have a ghostwriter? Did someone write your story for you? And I laughed because I said, you know, I did not have anyone write this for me. I did the work, which has made me feel so much more accomplished than the thought that I did have previously, that I would have someone help me write it. So being very strategic about how and when I would have quiet time, I used every moment, and my family they are my witnesses that I have took every moment that I had, whether we were riding in a car to go to an event, or if it was sitting on the floor beside the bed early in the morning, or in my spot at the bar to finish things. I made it happen with a lot of dedication and time management.
Just for the record, now she was talking about the bar at her house, because I know I know how the enemy can get. I know how the enemy. Oh, she's supposed to be saved and sanctified. She so at the bar, right? How you writing at the bar? See, the devil done told off on himself out there on that interview. So let me just put for the record right there. So for some of you out there with the wrong mindset out there, she's talking about the bar at the house, y'all. Come on, man. The spirit shared.
You are so correct. Thank you for clearing that up.
Anytime. I know. The spirit shared with me right then. I felt the spirit tell me, make sure you clear that up for somebody. That's all they need is just a little something to run with it. So we just want to make sure you clear that up. And speaking of that, the book is about to come out to so many people. So many have pre-ordered the book. Could you share with us some of the feedback that you've gotten from those around you, whether it be your husband or your kids or family and those around, as far as that they see that you actually did this by seeing the website and all that? Could you share some of the experiences that you've had by putting the book out there that you have done it?
Most definitely. I have to say that my biggest cheerleaders have been my husband and my two sons. They are beyond excited, as I am, to, as we keep saying, have it in our hands and be able to flip through those pages. They have been my editors in some cases. They have been my listening ear. Can you hear this part and tell me what you think? And I, especially for my husband, he has read it in its entirety, and so he's especially excited to see it. But even my children, they are teenagers, and so as much as I could get their attention, I had them listen to me read some different portions. I've handed them some content and let them read, and they just can't believe that mom's going to be an author, mom is an author. As far as the community, family, friends, the Christian community, even colleagues in both of my worlds, education and foster care, have been very supportive and very eager. I actually, before I started this process this time last year, actually sitting down and doing it, I've been saying for years, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book. I spoke this into the atmosphere many, many years ago, and to see it coming to reality and to fruition, I have a lot of people who are excited to take a part in this, and I'm being asked a lot about, I want an autographed copy. I can't wait for you to come and share at our conference or at our church. And I'm excited to know that people want to hear about my story, because they do know that I'm an open book, no pun intended. I've always been the type of person that wanted to share, and I think that has been very much appreciated and accepted among my community.
I love that. I love that. And, for those who are listening and tuned in, it's about what it's doing for those who are around you. I mean, like you say, what does it mean to her teenage kids when they saying like, wow, man, my mom doing this? I mean, how can you go in there and think you can't do a term paper now and you see that your mom is an author? I mean, that's what I want to share, the legacy piece of this. That's why I asked that question, because now all of a sudden when they go out, it's a certain type of boldness they got, because they think like, man, all we do is win. My mom's or my dad is a pastor, my mom, now their mindset, they're not easily, falling to the ground and just crying and whining all the time because life is punched with something, because they think like, man, I have to do something because this is just in our family to win. Just like some people, unfortunately, those who are in some gang-ridden areas, they think that that's my calling, is to be a gang member, especially for those, that I know in the LA area, some in Chicago, and it's different areas too, rural areas as well. But you see that that's a part of the culture. So when you're creating a book, you're doing more than just putting some content out there. You're actually shifting the legacy for your family for years to come. And so, Ms. Shaneil, could you share how the audience could get in contact with you, whether it be through social media or even information on how they could purchase the book?
Absolutely. You can visit www.bornastatistic.com. That would be where the book can be accessed, and you'll find information about the book. I'm also on Facebook as Shaneil PJ Yarbrough. I still just have a personal page. I'm not a public figure just yet. Also, I have ventured out a little bit more. I am on Instagram the same exact way, Shaneil PJ Yarbrough. And I have an email address, syrevealedministries@yahoo.com. I actually have gone ahead and started Reveal Ministries as my personal ministry, which will be where the Born a Statistic books will flow from and to. So I'm excited to hear from people who are interested, who want to know more about the book or more about my different ministries that I do across the many different areas of my life.
And for those who listen out there, I know it's quite a bit of people listen, make sure that you get Ms. Shaneil to your conference. Make sure you're able to have her come speak, come do some workshops for y'all. Just, saying she can empower the church, the women, the men, whoever needed, because she's coming filled with the Spirit. So make sure that you take full advantage while you can get her. So, don't be on here saying that you didn't know. It'd be like, man, Darren was saying that this one was blowing up, but we didn't understand at the time. So when the things go up and the little honorariums go up, you can't get in there. Then I told you on the author spotlight, you need to get in where you fit in, but you missed that on your opportunity. Maybe she might be able to do a pro bono thing for you one day, but but wherever God leads her, I know that's where she'll be at. But I just want to ask you, Ms. Shaneil, if you don't mind, for that young woman out there, or a woman who feel like, what, I'm a little bit, a more seasoned, so to speak, and I see why Shaneil did it. She got so much going on for her, but could you, they're thinking to themselves like, I don't know if I'm worthy. I'm not Shaneil, I'm not Oprah, I'm not all these other people. Who would want to hear my story? But they know they got something in them. They feel God telling them to release their story. Could you give them some words of encouragement why they should go ahead and put their book out and start moving forward?
I would be happy to. I am inclined to think about how there are a couple of scriptures that come to mind. And the first one would be Romans 8:28, that all things work together for the good. And I'm wanting to say that that young woman, that middle-aged woman, even that seasoned woman, as you said, if she has had different things happen to her, they might have not been good, but they are going to all work together for the good. And I think that what we mess up is we tell our story, but we put more of an emphasis on the bad than we do on how it got turned to end up being good. And so that has been my mission, to make sure that people know the bad, that they are not given a sugar-coated version of what I've been through and what I have experienced, but that they know in the end it all turned around for the good and for God to get the glory. The other thing that I'd say comes from the name of my ministry, my personal ministry, Revealed Ministries. For that person who's currently going through something, the scripture also says that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed. So right now they're going through and they can't see past it, they can't see through it, they don't understand why, but there will be glory after this. I really want people to know that that's where God has finally blessed me to get to the glory stage. And as you said earlier, I know the enemy can hear me talking, and he's probably just kind of trying to put something together right now. But I've had a mindset change that everything that I suffered through, I'm now going to forever live in the glory of that. Lastly, I certainly wanted to say that when I started this process, even years before I knew about Mr. Darren self-publishing their company, I knew that I had to do this. But I had no idea that I would be experiencing Ephesians 3:20, where he would do exceedingly abundantly above all that I asked or thought concerning this book and even this process. The hands that have been put to this project, not just mine, but the entire staff that Mr. Darren has in place, have been just so much of a catalyst for me to be able to just stand on them and glean from them and be encouraged by them and pushed by them. And so whatever that woman, that man, that boy, that girl is wanting to do, I'm a witness that they can do it, even though they have maybe convinced themselves otherwise. And I would strongly suggest that they reach out, talk to me, talk to other people who have gone through this experience, and they'll find out they can do it.
Whoa, what a word, what a word, what a word. Hey, as my pastor would say, if Israel be lost, Jacob won't lose his reward. I tell you the truth. I mean, when I think about this right here, I mean, that's something I want everybody, no matter who you are and what you're going, whether it's trying to get that GED, or if you're fighting for your marriage right now, if you're fighting for that grandbaby right now, whatever you're going through, or your health right now, you got a bad report, or you thought it was bad, whatever it may be, listen to what Ms. Yarbrough just shared with you, because if you take that and implement that, apply that in any area of your life, I guarantee you that you will see a difference, because God will show up and show out in your situation. If you just trust him, he will come through. So I just want to thank you again, Ms. Shaneil. I know you got things to do. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule, family, and the whole nine to be able to come and pour into us today. So I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I said thank you. I want to thank the pastor. I just want to thank your whole family for y'all allowing for us to partner with you and creating history, because I just know that just like John on the Isle of Patmos, he would have never knew that for years to come people would be touched by his work. And I feel the same way about what you're doing right now. We have no clue on what God is going to do for this. Even when we transition and gone, we don't know how this book will be touching lives for generations to come. So I want to thank you for allowing for us to partner with you.
And I wanted to say thank you to you and your team. And I certainly want to give a special shout out to my personal consultant, Miss Stephanie, your wife. She has been amazing. And I don't want you guys to think that the work has been taken lightly. I have been so blessed by this process, and I encourage everyone to at least look into it, to find out more about it. Feel free to ask me questions about how it was for me. And certainly we are pleased with the process, and we can't wait to see what God will do and how he will be glorified.
Amen. Let the church say amen on that one right there. So this has been a great episode. And remember that this is the year for your new book. And remember this too as well. If you won't change, be the change. Until next time, be great and be blessed.